Hey, Joe,
What?
who do you think would win in a battle between U2 and Death Grips?
AC/DC.
Welcome to Tune Fever, baby.
So, you guys, Joe is on here today. You remember him. And I am Tyler. Welcome to my channel. And today we're going to be doing Battle of the Bands. How this is going to go is we made a list of 50 of the most important bands of all time. And what we're going to do is we have a random number generator right here. And we're going to basically randomly pair them up. And then the concept is we each have to pick one of those bands to keep, and then the other band to erase their whole discography from existence forever. And that doesn't mean its effect on history, because obviously if you're talking about like the Beatles or something, say you're like ranking the Beatles versus like Metallica or something, you could maybe make the argument that Metallica would never exist if the Beatles never existed, but that doesn't apply here. In this game, Metallica can still exist even if the Beatles never did. So that is not part of what we're doing here. There's no like historical timeline problems that we're going to be running into. It's just purely the discographies of bands. And it's kind of like you have to choose one to keep and the other to completely get rid of. So it's some of it's going to be kind of random, like the Beatles and Metallica. Obviously, how do you even compare that? How do you even begin to compare that? But that is exactly what we're going to be doing because it seems kind of fun. So, and we tried to keep it to 50 of the most important bands of all time. And so we had to eliminate several other bands that were really important, including this one that Joe's, that we've talked about on the channel before. We had to definitely eliminate some of the best and most important bands just ever. So, sorry if your favorite band doesn't appear on this list. We just tried to keep it to 50. So I think we're going to get started. So let's pull up the first two on this random number generator. So we have, for our first battle, the Ramones versus Dave Matthews Band.
Off to a great start.
Wow.
Okay,
This is exactly what I was hoping it would be. All right.
all right.
So, wow. Let me think about it. I think I would probably choose Dave Matthews Band for this. How about you?
Me too.
Mhm.
Probably.
No, there's a lot of good Ramones. Rock and Roll High School is a great Ramones song.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, they I like some of their songs, but I have their debut, their first album. And I don't know. I don't think it's that interesting. I think it's just kind of boring, but they have some songs I like. I mean, obviously Rock and Roll High School, it's not on that album, but I definitely know that song and I really like that song. So
they're an important band. They inspired a lot of important punk bands.
Definitely being important, and on the punk scene, like that's obviously like that's a big deal.
But we're both musicians too, so Dave Matthews Band kind of takes that angle, very interesting songwriting and instrument playing.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So, I kind of have to lean that direction, and plus I think that
too.
They have a much larger discography, and I would say they are every bit as significant, really. They're both super important bands, kind of for different reasons, And Dave Matthews Band they just won't quit. They just keep going, and they're doing really well. So, gotta respect game. All right, so that is
so the first. Ramones discography has been erased.
Yep.
From all existence, from all history.
Was it worth it?
I don't know.
Yep. All right,
Yep.
next up.
All right, moving on.
Okay, so next we have Kiss.
That's already funny.
I wonder who they'll go against. Versus Joy Division. Holy cow. Okay. So this is actually an interesting thing to pick because Joy Division doesn't have that much music.
Right.
The music they have is awesome. And super important. Kiss has a bunch more music, but it's a total other lane, isn't it? It's sort of more pop and more of the shock rock thing. It's not near as introspective.
The guy, it's just guys breathing fire and explosions and
yeah, which is cool. All that.
Oh, it's fun.
I have a shirt of both of these bands. So yeah.
Nice.
You have to. Yeah, definitely like both. Here's maybe why I will say I'm gonna pick Kiss here, because it's basically because of faults that I have with Joy Division. I can absolutely listen to Joy Division during the fall and winter, but during the spring and summer, I just can't. It's just kind of a seasonal band for me. Trying to listen to something as icy cold post-punk as Joy Division in like 90-degree weather, it just seems really odd.
Right. Right.
But Kiss you can kind of listen to the whole year. So
Kiss you can listen to whenever.
Yeah, it doesn't strike me as seasonal. Yeah, I don't know. So I guess because of that, and also Kiss has more music than Joy Division does. So I guess Kiss is going to take this one, but it's a pretty big bummer now that I can't listen to Joy Division anymore.
Oh, for sure.
What do you think?
It's too bad. Oh, yeah. Yeah, because there's different things I like, or I like completely different things about both. I think I want to give the edge to Kiss. Because like you said, for Joy Division, some of their stuff, I have to be like in the right mood for it. Kiss, you throw it up on the radio, and even if it's simple, you're just like, it's like listening to Van Halen. It's just crazy. It's just fun. One of my favorite things about Joy Division that they led to New Order. New Order is probably one of my most favorite bands ever.
Yeah.
And obviously Kiss they do have more. And I feel like they're more consistent. I mean, obviously they're more, but even so, the consistency. Joy Division, I'm not as into their second album, The Closer, as I am into the Unknown Pleasures. And even Unknown Pleasures, I still have to be in like a mood or like a vibe for it, I guess. But I still like that album.
Yeah, I do like Unknown Pleasures better. Yeah. Okay, so we've agreed so far.
Right. And actually, I guess one other thing, the more I listen to Unknown Pleasures, the more I like it, like through time, I guess. But yeah, I guess as a whole, probably basically kind of the same reason, just because Kiss it's not as hard to get into, I think.
Sure.
Yes, we have agreed.
What do you like by Kiss? What's like a song or two that you really like?
Oh gosh. Oh, what's the one? I mean, obviously, Rock and Roll All Night, Party Every Day. I mean, that's just you hear that all the time. But what else is
lit?
But what else? I know there's stuff I've heard by them before. Not necessarily albums, just some songs. But
I like Strutter. It's my favorite Kiss song.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, Strutter's the bomb. Yeah.
And me, from an image standpoint, like I said earlier, with the fire and everything, I think is really fun. Even if it is like just really simple or just kind of, I like how just, I guess, simple it is, or kind of the same reason I like some other bands. It's just it's really it's to the point and it just rocks.
Sure. Alrighty. Yeah. Cool. All right, round 3. So we have the Sex Pistols versus Primus.
Oh my gosh.
Wow. Okay. Primus wins for me. It's not much of a thinker for me. What do you think?
Yeah, I'll probably go with Primus, just from obviously we're musicians, but from a musicianship standpoint. It was actually, so for all you watching at home, there is a Primus CD called Sailing the Seas of Cheese, and Tyler said, Joe, you need to buy this. And I was like, okay. And I went out and bought it, and I love it. And so, and I already knew some of the songs already, but I think it holds up very well as an album or as a complete work.
It's my favorite album for sure. And, I think Primus made good albums for a while. They because I like kind of Primus all the way from Sailing the Seas of Cheese to like Frizzle Fry is the stuff that I'm really into. Frizzle Fry is you probably know John the Fisherman. It's on Frizzle Fry. But yeah, I like kind of that stuff and everything in between there. And so obviously they have several albums, whereas the Sex Pistols has one. And I think it could also be argued, like the Sex Pistols is super important and that album is cool, but there's also filler in that one Sex Pistols album. And so, you can't, I don't think it can take out several full-length albums of Primus that I love. So
Right.
It's
and also
sad though that we won't have any Sex Pistols anymore.
No more. And also thinking me like as a bass player, I mean, really like it.
Yeah, true. Primus, Les Claypool's crazy. Yeah. All right. Next round, we have Smashing Pumpkins.
Ugh.
Yep. And they are going up against themselves. Hold on.
Themselves. All right.
I got 42.
I'll pick Smashing Pumpkins.
Yeah. I got 40. I got 42 twice in a row, so I have to do this again. 36. Oh no. I don't know what I'm going to do here. We have Smashing Pumpkins versus Soundgarden.
Oh, crap.
Yep.
Oh, that's
This is see, so I was hoping whenever we started this to have
here we
ones
go.
that were jokes and then ones that were intense. This one is really intense for us both. I know that. Jeez. Oh, Soundgarden. And I'll stick with it.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know, because it's too hard.
It is really hard. I'll tell you where I'm coming from. Where I'm coming from
tell
with
me your
this,
thoughts.
Where I'm coming from with this is that Chris Cornell's voice was absolutely never cringy. It was always incredible.
Mm-hmm.
Even on some of the Soundgarden stuff that came later, that's not as good. What is it, King Animal? I don't know. You probably don't know that album. I don't really either, but it's not very good.
When was it released?
I don't know. Before he passed away. Maybe 2013 or something. That's a guess.
Okay, I definitely don't know it.
Yeah, it's way newer. Yeah, but even on those songs, his voice still was extremely strong.
Sure.
So the voice of Chris Cornell versus the voice of Billy Corgan, both are, you could say both are incredible for completely different reasons. And Billy Corgan's voice is not incredible on every single song the way that Chris Cornell's is.
Sure.
But of course, both bands have really, really great drummers, with Smashing Pumpkins having Jimmy Chamberlain and with Soundgarden having Matt Cameron. These are two crazy awesome drummers. And then of course, just like Soundgarden, you could say is like generally heavier than Smashing Pumpkins,
Sure.
and I'm kind of into the heavy thing. So
Right.
maybe that gives Soundgarden the edge as well, even though Smashing Pumpkins has so many albums that I really do love. So that's where I'm coming from with picking Soundgarden.
Sure.
But it was an intense battle in my head. And I'm very sad to lose Smashing Pumpkins to Soundgarden.
That was really close. Yeah, I was and you're right. I want to say Soundgarden. I was thinking Smashing Pumpkins because I feel like, I guess because I know more by them, but also just as an entirety. But I mean, yeah, Chris Cornell and his voice is just, I think it's like one of the best. He's one of the best singers ever. Yep. If I was going to be a singer for a rock band, I'd want to have a voice like that. And I still love Billy Corgan is really nasally and like really high, but I love it. I love that voice as well too. But I want to say Soundgarden just because of Chris Cornell. And I don't know. It's and Super Unknown. I mean, there's not a single song on that I don't think is just ridiculously awesome.
Yeah, I would say both bands do have a perfect album. Soundgarden is Super Unknown, and for me, Smashing Pumpkins, their perfect album is Siamese Dream.
Siamese Dream, sure.
Yeah, there's not a. They're both absolutely perfect.
And that's another thing that makes it so hard because like I love both bands, but if there was one that had like, this is like the best album ever made, that would clearly win. But they both have that. Yeah. Like they're both, but just I like the way you broke it down. That's a way I want to keep thinking, because of Chris Cornell. I think it's just phenomenal.
Sure.
And I want to go listen. Like what I'll do is I'll be like, I want to hear "Fell on Black Days" or something, and I'll look at a song, and then I'm looking at like, wow, I want to hear every single song on this album, like, and I do the same thing with Siamese Dream, but I don't know, like sound. Probably more so because I've been listening to it recently. But yeah, Super Unknown, I don't know, it just hits me.
Yep. Yeah. So
this is really interesting.
Yeah, that especially this round because it was intense. But all right, ready for what is round 5?
Yes.
So Pearl Jam versus the Doors.
Doors.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh.
This is pretty it's funny because for this one it seems really random, but also it's genuinely difficult.
It is.
I think Pearl Jam takes this.
Okay. I would probably say Pearl Jam because I like the Doors, but I don't love them. I've listened to. I mean, I know their debut. I actually own the one I own is it's a greatest hits CD. I think I bought it when I was like in high school, but I like it. But I think Pearl Jam again because of having that stellar, actually also debut on that stellar album, which is 10, and also Versus is very good. Well, I kind of like that one because I downloaded it from my friend Daniel. He owns that on a disc, and so I don't know, it just kind of reminds me of him because he's one of my best friends. But definitely, but that album is very good, and 10, of course, which I've really liked, especially the past year or something. I've really gotten into that one. But yeah, they are, and like obviously the Doors. I like how it's really simple, but sometimes I feel like it is hard to get into, I guess.
So for me, I think the album thing is the big deal for me on this. Because the Doors has a lot of songs, and I don't think they have the albums like Pearl Jam does. Also, Pearl Jam has been keeping themselves alive for a really long time. And I don't know, Pearl Jam, they have they're like, we talked about Dave Matthews Band earlier. Pearl Jam, it's interesting because they kind of started in that grunge world, and they basically became Dave Matthews Band.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, they are, they're huge. They're huge, and they have so many albums that I really like. And the Doors, it's just songs to me. But I love both. But yeah, Pearl Jam for me too. So far we are still agreeing about each of these battles.
Wait, so if there's one where like we take different sides, does that mean that both bands get erased?
No, it just means one gets erased for me, and then one gets erased.
So in our okay.
Yeah, since this is over a Zoom call, parallel universes can happen. So
for sure.
Yeah. Okay, next battle. Dinosaur Jr. versus the White Stripes.
White Stripes.
Dinosaur Jr. wins for me. This is I would say maybe a bit more comparable than what we've done so far. These are they're very like alternative. And it's kind of the extremely loud, noisy guitar thing.
Right.
Extremely guitar centric music. But Dinosaur Jr. has to win this for me because I am a really huge Dinosaur Jr. fan. I mean, there's nothing they've ever done that I dislike. I love some of their stuff more than I love other of their stuff, but yeah, Dinosaur Jr. Is one of those bands that I could just listen to everything that they've ever done and like it. I just really like Jay Mascis. Dude is completely confusing and perplexing as a guy and a musician, and it just kind of is magical that it all comes together. I really don't understand. They're an extremely unique band, but yeah, White Stripes, extremely cool, but I also definitely don't like everything about White Stripes. And there's also kind of a drummer thing where the drumming in White Stripes, while it's effective, obviously isn't very it's not like interesting, it's just good, and simple. And that's those things are good, which makes something like this a little unfair to even try to compare.
Right.
But there's a lot of White Stripes music that I don't really like too. And that's different because with Dinosaur Jr. I can pretty confidently say that I like all of it that I've ever heard. So
sure.
Dinosaur Jr. I guess takes
that's impressive.
It is impressive to me, yeah. Just my own taste. It's like they're making music for me. So thanks.
Yeah.
Dinosaur Jr.
Yeah, that's good. That's nice. Especially a band that's been around for that long, for was it 30 years? I mean,
gotta be.
That's because most bands, I'd even go say all bands, you look at what they did in the the 70s or 80s or whenever, then you look at what they're doing now, if they're still around, and even if it is good, people go to the classics. Yeah, I'd probably go with Dinosaur Jr. on this one because same with you. I like a lot of what they put out. I love You're Living All Over Me. That album is probably my favorite by them. And I know it's a popular pick, but I just really like every song on that one.
Sure.
It's very cool. I think everything.
Dinosaur Jr. is interesting because I had a lot of their earlier stuff is some of my favorite stuff, but then I also randomly love the album Beyond, which was made in 2000 something. It's a very new
2008 or something.
Yeah, and I love it. And so I mean, I really do like You're Living All Over Me. I also really like Bug. Yeah. But Dinosaur Jr., yeah. If I had to pick favorites, maybe something like that. Yeah, Bug.
Sure.
And Beyond.
Beyond. Yeah, no, that's funny. Yeah, I like those. And White Stripes, I still like. I do kind of like it more for the just energy or loudness, as opposed to I I guess, musicianship, which isn't a bad thing because I still like them. But yeah, I guess Dinosaur Jr. kind of for the same reason, just having a really awesome album that I can go to.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, it's cool.
Mm-hmm. And Dinosaur Jr. is a bit like more weird too.
Right.
You know, White Stripes is probably quite a bit more accessible than something like Dinosaur Jr. is most of the time. So, you know, I'm not sure that really affects my opinion on this conversation either way, but I guess what I'm really trying to say is that Dinosaur Jr. Is really trying to just be art. I would even say Dinosaur Jr. is not even trying to be like effective, whereas White Stripes is always trying to like have an effect, and there's like a reason for everything, and it's great. I really like it. Dinosaur Jr. is just kind of a raw expression, and I guess we'll see if it sticks. And for me, it sticks every time. But it seems Dinosaur Jr. seems kind of like the effortless. It just seems kind of like it's natural. It's just everything about who Jay Mascis is comes out in his music is great.
Right.
All right. So Dinosaur Jr. wins this round. Okay. Next up.
Meme.
Oh, let's see. So Nirvana. We have Nirvana here.
Ooh.
Versus. We already did them. Nirvana versus Lynyrd Skynyrd. Huh. Oh wow.
Interesting take.
Gosh, yeah, this is a case where these are completely incomparable. Gosh. I'm gonna pick Nirvana here. What do you think?
I mean, yeah, I'm trying to think what Lynyrd Skynyrd I know. Probably Nirvana. I know I keep going back to like saying there's like one album that stands out, and that's not like the case for every argument or every band here, but Nirvana, my favorite Nirvana album is probably In Utero. I really like that one a ton. And also Nirvana did and also it's interesting because Nirvana's the one actually they don't have as many albums.
Mm-hmm.
Or they I mean,
it's true, yeah.
And they weren't around for that long. But I don't know. I really like them. Well, I've actually another one I liked at first and then have liked more the more I listen. Everything on Utero I think is great. It's another one I just feel like it's just everything that who they were just really came out in that album and just nailed it. I also really like the acoustic set, the live one that they did is really, really nice. I own that one. I don't actually own a lot of live material by really any band, which I should need to get more into that in general. But that one is in particular, I listened to it and I was like, wow, I really, really enjoy this one here. And it's because it's an acoustic one and everything they do on that is really nice. So that one is incomparable to their, obviously their studio albums, ones their rock albums that they made and got famous for. But I don't know. I really enjoy some of their stuff. With Lynyrd Skynyrd, I mean, obviously they're known as being like one of the classics, and they're really nice, I think, but they're not one that I go to as much, or I think I still like them. Actually, one of the records I inherited from my parents because they gave me just tons of old records is one by Lynyrd Skynyrd. It's a compilation, actually. So I'm excited to dig more into that one. So I'll still listen to them, but
cool.
I don't know. And again, me being, obviously grunge, Nirvana, Soundgarden, all those that I really gravitate towards.
Yeah. Nirvana
suits
your fancy. Nirvana for me too. Yeah. I guess Nirvana has more that I like. So if I had to pick a discography to get rid of, I choose more over less.
Sure.
Making a comparison is crazy. Yeah, because
Has anyone on the internet ever tried to discuss these two bands? Like,
no.
comparison, I don't think that's ever happened.
There's no point. There's no point other
No.
than a scenario like this where we're basically playing Would You Rather, and you have to
Sure.
pick a side.
And you have to pick one.
Yeah, and it sucks. I don't want to get rid of Lynyrd Skynyrd at all. There really is a ton of songs by them that I really like.
Sure.
You know, and of course there is. I mean, to get rid of Lynyrd Skynyrd is to get rid of Freebird.
I know.
Yeah,
that's the thing.
Can't feel good about it, but that's what I got to do here. Yeah.
Sure.
All right. So Nirvana takes the round against Lynyrd Skynyrd, and that's probably pretty disrespectful.
Sentences that have never been said before.
Never. Yeah. Okay.
In all history.
Next battle. Oh, we did that. Okay, Boston versus The Clash. Okay.
Oh, man.
All right. Boston versus The Clash. Here we go.
Oh, man. That's kind of tough for me.
It's not tough for me. You probably knew that.
I know what you're going to say.
Yeah, it's Boston for me. Yep.
Sure.
So what do you think?
Because, well, I want to say Clash, but the first Boston album, every single one of those songs is a hit.
Yeah.
And that's never been done ever, I don't think. Except for maybe a few other things, I don't know. Because to me, because it's and I also really like Don't Look Back. There's their second one. Sure. I like both of those. I feel like they're very approachable, but also very fun. Mm-hmm. Oh man!
And I think that the thing that I like about Boston is that they are the members in the band Boston, the early Boston stuff, I should say. They're wildly musical talented.
Oh yeah, they're smart.
Yes, extremely. And they are also so polished. They never botch anything. Nothing's ever oh well. When you're listening to that early Boston stuff, it is never a compromise. It's always just completely full throttle.
For sure.
They are firing on all cylinders at all times, always. Even in the really sensitive stuff they do, like A Man I'll Never Be or something, it's still totally gut-wrenching. Listening to Boston is incredibly intense. And I think that they're probably, obviously they're extremely famous, but I think people don't talk about Boston enough when they talk about classic rock, because I think that they could be in just the classic rock world, they could be the best classic rock band ever.
Oh no, that's I kind of agree with that.
Mm-hmm. Not just to me, but to the whole world,
Oh no, for sure.
And I don't really know people who would just say, oh, I don't like Boston. That a person who says something like that would be really confusing. Yeah, there's just some music that's just good.
Right.
And I also
it's inarguable, honestly.
Yeah, the Boston's just good. It's just what it is. I'd love to hear someone try to argue in opposite position.
Right.
I'm really curious if there's people out there who just hate on Boston. I'm really curious. But yeah, and I want to talk about the Clash. There's a lot of Clash songs I like, but Clash has no good albums to me. And with the Clash, I find that I dislike more than I like. So this was an easy pick for me. I'm not the biggest Clash fan. And Joe knew that before I said it.
Right.
And yeah, I don't hate on the Clash necessarily, but the Clash is not a band that I'm into. So I won't go into
yeah.
all the reasons why, I guess, and I won't go into all my hot takes. Maybe I'll just say some positive things about the Clash. I do like their first album a lot. And then from there, I don't like any of their other albums. It's just like the occasional song off albums, except for London Calling. I don't really like anything on London Calling at all. There's some stuff that like has nice sounds, but there's not a song on there for me. So that's where I'll leave it.
All right. I thought I was going to pick Clash, but from a just discography standpoint, I want to go with Boston because I feel like there are Clash albums that I love London Calling. I feel like they have more inconsistencies, I think, because there are some I guess I like the debut. Their second one was Give Enough Rope. I think it's all right, but it kind of gets old. Sandinista I think is great, but it's like about 3 hours too long. They really just overdo it. Actually, no, London Calling was their third album, but I already said I love it. Sandinista. I don't really.
Does Sandinista have like 36 tracks on it or something?
Yeah, it's something like that. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And there are some songs I think on there are great, but like I don't know. London Calling, we said that one. What's next? Combat Rock.
That's a good one.
I'm not as into that one. There are songs I like on it for sure. I guess I'd like to listen to it more. There's not a lot that I've returned to, but I think there's some good stuff on there. I guess part of it when I listened to it, I was thinking, oh, this is just for like a pop audience, but there is good stuff on there.
Yeah. Honestly, I think
Boston.
I want to say I think Clash kind of transitioned to pop on their second album.
Sure.
Mm-hmm. Their first album is the least pop, and then everything else they did basically is pop.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, with Boston, for them to just come out swinging and to make that first album where every single song is a song you'd hear on the radio, or like every song is a classic rock standard. And there's not a single thing I dislike about that album, like at all. So as much as I love London Calling, because it is one of my probably favorite albums ever, just from a pure, just rock music, it just an impact. Like it's just, I don't know. I just feel like it punches me in the face every time, but in a good way. I also
you're deciding to erase Clash and keep Boston.
I think so. Unfortunately,
that's probably
I thought going in. I thought I was going to go with Clash, but I don't know. Maybe because I'm just really in a mood for Boston right now, but I do generally like it like all the freaking time.
Yeah. That's the
so
thing.
After
I think
after
that
we
Boston
film this, I'm gonna start listening.
Yeah, Boston's like they don't come up very often in the conversation, do they? But every time they do, you rethink about how awesome they are.
It's always good.
Yep. Okay, Boston takes it, and we've still.
I really did that to the Clash. Oh man.
Yeah, that probably hurts. That was rough for you. Yeah. Let's
that was you with Kiss and Joy Division.
Yeah, true. Getting rid of Joy Division and also getting rid of Smashing Pumpkins is crazy.
Oh man. Well, there's no right answer with that one.
Oh yeah, it depends on the day, kind of thing. All right, we have Deep Purple versus Deep Purple versus Alice in Chains. All right. Who do I keep?
I actually don't know a lot by either band, but this is actually really interesting because a new frame of thinking.
Yeah.
No, I like this. This is cool.
Yeah. I have a feeling you'll probably go with Alice in Chains. Just because they're grunge and they have grunge sound, and
that's kind of what I'm thinking so far. But I do want to listen more Deep Purple for sure.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna choose Alice in Chains because they do the grunge thing really well, the really heavy thing, and the guitar solos and everything.
Yeah, they're heavy.
And then they also have they're kind of proggish in a way with certain chords that they like to play and certain syncopations that they do and certain time signatures that they throw into songs. Also, they have some pretty interesting and serious left turns in their discography that are absolutely incredible. For example, my favorite Alice in Chains project, and I have to say the word project because of what it is the Jar of Flies EP. It's my favorite thing they've ever done. And it's like, I guess the story about it is that they went on tour and whenever they came back, they were evicted from their place of living. So they slept at the studio for a period of time while they were trying to get enough money to like find a place to live. And during that time, spent in the studio, just like basically being homeless, but being able to be in the studio, I guess.
Nice.
They kind of channeled what they were going through or whatever into this acoustic EP. That's kind of the story. I think
that's sweet, honestly.
Yeah, but this EP is not grunge, really. There's influences of it, but there's like a kind of sound of it and a flavor of grunge, but it's an acoustic album. And the other thing that I want to say about Alice in Chains that gives them an edge to Deep Purple is throughout Alice in Chains' entire discography, Alice in Chains has some of the best harmonies I've ever heard in my life. And they do these incredibly interesting harmonies on a regular basis. And so that just like they didn't have to do any harmonies at all, and Alice in Chains would still be Alice in Chains. But they decided to go the extra mile to incorporate pretty dang complex and strange and interesting harmonies into like every song. So I guess just that extra level of ambition does it for me and gives them the edge over Deep Purple. But Deep Purple is a band that I'm not quick to get rid of because they have, Deep Purple, their albums are generally short, but they're so no filler. They are fast, and Ian Gillan is, I think that's his name, Ian Gillan, the singer. He is a really, really awesome vocalist. And some of his, like, he'll just scream for like 30 seconds. It's awesome. And the guitar playing in it, it's kind of like the solos in it are so iconic. And they're just a lot of there's a lot of kind of star power whenever you hear these guitar solos. It's like, geez, he's really,
oh yeah, for sure,
he's aiming to melt your face. It's the goal. But yeah, so but I will give this to Alice in Chains just because I think they do more than Deep Purple does.
Cool. Yeah, that's good.
So.
No, that's definitely, even someone not knowing a ton, hearing this from you is super interesting. Makes me want to go listen to both bands.
Yeah.
I mean, I already wanted to, but definitely hearing these ideas and your take on it is
cool.
Really cool.
Yeah, I love Alice in Chains.
Cool.
Yeah, they're cool. And
what do you own anything by them?
Yeah. I've got Dirt, I've got Jar of Flies, and I've got Self-Titled Tripod.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
I think I have their MTV acoustic one too.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I have those.
That's cool.
I think that's what I see up there. I know I've at least thought about buying it. But I'm looking at my CD shelf is what I'm doing. Yeah.
Right.
But
you have to look really hard because there are a few up there.
Yeah. Yeah, they're hello. There I am. Yeah, those are the CDs up there. Yeah, my stuff unplugged. Okay. So you're going with Alice in Chains too?
I think so.
All right. So Alice in Chains wins the battle. All right, next battle up. Let's see. The Beatles.
Oh, great.
It's funny because there's so many important bands on this list that I feel like the Beatles have a good chance of losing, and that's crazy.
Sure.
I just I don't know how this is about to go. But there's other bands on this list that the Beatles definitely could beat. Let's see.
No.
Beatles versus Blink-182.
Cool. All right. Where to begin?
Wow. Well, let me begin. I have been listening to Blink-182 since 6th grade. They were my first favorite band. They were I mean, I wanted to listen to absolutely all of their music. You know, and I one thing about Blink-182 that I think made me think they were so cool as a child was that their albums kind of went in alphabetical order. There was this Fly Swatter demo with a big capital A on the front, and then their next album is Buddha, and then there's Cheshire Cat, and then there's Dude Ranch, and then there's Enema of the State, and then there was a live album that has an F on the bass drum, and then there was this album that has a G on the jacket on the front, and I guess that's kind of where it stops. But all that stuff was already out by the time I was listening to their music, and they also had a song on Guitar Hero World Tour, which is the first game that had drums in it, and Travis Barker was in the game. So as a 6th grader, my mind was pretty blown with everything Blink-182. So I have, and then obviously Blink-182 goes on to make more incredible music. I would say my two favorite Blink-182 albums are Dude Ranch, and then their self-titled that they made a lot later. And I have to pick two favorite Blink-182 albums because Blink-182 has their kind of punkier phase, and then they have like a poppier phase that I'm not as into, but I still like it. And then they have kind of a more serious phase that I like some of, especially the self-titled. And Dude Ranch kind of falls into the more punky phase of Blink-182. So they've been around a long time and changed a lot. And so I guess I have to start there. Eliminating one of these will be really hard because the Beatles,
I mean, think everything they did, or
yeah, they did so much, and it's all so different. And so I think to completely eliminate the Beatles, you kind of lose a lot of different things.
Right.
And so to me, I'm looking at Beatles and I'm looking at Blink-182, and this might sound funny or something, but I'm looking at incredibly extensive discographies. Let me make it clear that I don't like the recent Blink-182 stuff, you know? So that's not part of this thought process for me. As far as I'm concerned, that stuff already doesn't exist. And I guess if anybody,
so regardless,
I guess if anybody watching this likes that stuff, that's fine. I'm not saying that you're stupid or something. I just personally, the latest stuff from Blink-182, I think the most recent stuff I ever liked from them was Neighborhoods, the album Neighborhoods. I liked a bunch of stuff on it. Not the whole album, but you know, anything before that is kind of what I'm trying to weigh here against the magnitude of the Beatles. I am going to pick, and the other thing that makes this interesting to compare is both bands do the whole multiple vocalist thing on a regular basis.
Right.
Because Blink-182 doesn't really have a lead vocalist. They have two lead vocalists that do trading off. Sometimes one will do one song, sometimes the other one
like the Beatles.
And sometimes they'll both do parts of songs.
And for sure.
And exactly, the Beatles do the same thing. And so they're so incomparable, but they're comparable in kind of hilarious ways like this.
Right.
And then there are other aspects of the bands that are interesting. Like the Beatles, I've never been very into the drumming as a drummer. I've never understood the fascination with Ringo Starr. Some of the stuff is cool. And Ringo Starr wrote some Beatles songs that are some of my favorites too. And I don't necessarily think he's a bad drummer. I'm just not impressed or something.
Sure.
Whereas Travis Barker, I think, is such a good part writer. I think he is a gifted drummer, and he's so good at writing drum parts for songs. He's just really good at the composition of it. It's never placeholder. Travis Barker always has you could say complex drum parts that are written really for the song, and he never compromises those live. He always plays them as parts, as he plays them on the album, basically. He'll place really particular tom hits, or he'll hit like a cymbal because he really wants that sound there. It's Travis Barker basically is always trying to come up with a part anytime he's drumming. And so I would say the drumming of Blink-182 is more impressive to me. But then also, I talked about the singer aspect of Blink-182 and the Beatles. The Beatles are better singers than Blink-182.
Sure.
Blink-182 is two amateur singers that sometimes nail it and sometimes really don't. And it's fine because it's the punky thing. So it's not like a problem, but it's part of me trying to weigh this decision out right now.
Right.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. This one is rough. So while I think about it, what do you think?
Yeah, I like what you said about the singing. I'm not like, I don't know the entire discography like your boy does over here, but that's awesome because that is one that him and my friend Daniel mentioned earlier. He owns some of their albums or discs as well, and that's something I'd like to get into and download. Yeah, with the what you said about the singing, I agree. I've never really been into the singing, and I get that it's raw and that's cool, but maybe not for me. And that's funny because there are bands similar to them that I'm like, well, there's one band similar to them we'll get to later. I'm like a super fan of, but
Yeah.
no. Also I like you mentioned the phases. Beatles did their kind of like their earlier, more poppy. Early Beatles, and then later got into the really weird experimental. And most people, I wouldn't say people like just don't, not that they don't like the early Beatles stuff, but they don't think about it as much, or it usually doesn't go at the top of people's like lists. I actually really like early Beatles a lot. There's the album Beatles for Sale, which is one that a lot of people don't like, and I totally get why, but it's probably one of my favorites.
Wow.
Which is a weird thing to say, and there are a lot of covers on that album, but I think some of the songs that are just really great. I think Help is probably my favorite, and that is one that people do like, but again, Help is like never at the top of people's list, but that's probably my favorite Beatles album out of any of them. I really enjoy every song. I feel like I want to give it to Beatles just because they did great things in both areas.
Plus, you know them more.
I do know them a lot more. So it's kind of biased, but
it makes sense too.
Them. Yeah. And obviously you growing up with Blink-182, literally like, being like in 6th grade, that's a big deal for you as well.
That's gonna bias me.
Sure. And I guess I feel like I'd probably go with Beatles, which is kind of unfair, but I feel like, and you talk about so many bands or people look to them as influences in ways, which I think they're maybe a little overrated like that, but I still really like them a lot.
I think the guys in the Beatles are overrated. People are such huge John Lennon fans.
Oh, no, I'm not
huge Paul McCartney fans.
I don't think of myself as like a fan of John Lennon.
Yeah.
I think myself as a fan of the Beatles. I feel like George Harrison is some ways underrated in terms of just what he wrote, but he's a Beatle. He still gets a ton of credit.
Yeah. Plus his solo work is some of the best solo work.
Oh, for sure.
Of any Beatles member.
Right. Yeah. But yeah, it's really good stuff all around, I think.
I'd be more upset with no Blink-182, I think.
Sure.
So I choose to keep Blink-182.
I would be disappointed if you didn't choose them for this one.
So this is the first time that we've chosen different bands.
So in our parallel universes are now different.
Yeah, we are officially messing with the space-time continuum right now. So, but obviously this is pretty rough. I really do love the Beatles. But yeah, let's go ahead and go to the next round, because as far as we can run away from this terror of a round for me, it's fine.
No, let's see how much worse this can get.
I know. Yeah,
because even whether it's really funny or really hard, they're both really hard. So
yeah, there is a whole lot of bands that are incredible that are left on this list. I almost think that we should do this in 2 parts.
I think so as well, because this video is going to be like 4 hours long. But I really like this. So
yeah, it's a good time. Oh,
we've done what? I've 10 so far, 10 arguments or discussions so far.
5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, we've done 10.
We agreed on like all of them.